Welcome back to episode 9 of Rebooking the WWF in 1992. And we've made it to our first pay per view, the 1992 Royal Rumble. And I will tell you, I am quite excited to finally get to the 1992 Royal Rumble. And before we get into it, I just want to say I am quite surprised by the amount of interest and feedback that have been given to this series so far. I really appreciate it. It's a little overwhelming. I just did this. I just started doing this for fun, and I guess the idea that people are actually enjoying it and looking forward to episodes um, is pretty cool. So, sorry for keeping people waiting for maybe an extended period of time, but I was on vacation for a few days, and I wanted to make sure that this show was done pretty well. So what we're going to do is we're going to get right into the Royal Rumble. I'll explain what's going on. When it comes to the Royal Rumble match itself, obviously we'll see the winners and all that, but I will go through the order of entrance, so we'll know the order of how everybody went in, and then I'll go through eliminations and provide reasoning behind all that as well before we see how it kind of translates to the game. Sounds good. So let's get into the show. Now, as you can see here, we're starting off with a bonus match, which is High Energy taking on the Beverly Brothers. And the Beverly Brothers are going to win. And as you can see here, it's because Papa Shango is going to cause a distraction on Coco Beware when he comes on the aisle with a birdcage with a black sheet over it. So we don't actually ever see Frankie. I think that's important to note. Instead, it's just kind of given the perception that Frankie is maybe potentially underneath there. So that's going to cause Coco to be a little distraught, and then the Beverly Brothers are able to hit the head spike finish. As we've mentioned before, we're looking to push the Beverly Brothers, and sure, it's a distraction finish, but it gives them a pretty big pay per view win and some momentum if we look to use them as potential challengers to whomever the tag team champions will be in the future. So that seems pretty simple there. I mean, we're protecting Owen as well, and also advancing the Papa Shango Coco feud directly as well. So I think we're accomplishing quite a bit. We're going 10 minutes. Should be more than enough time to put on a decent match. A quick hitting promo here with Duggan. Hacksaw just reminds us that he won the Rumble once before, and this one would be even sweeter victory to win the WWF World Championship and make America proud. Tough guy. Ho! Just like a quick hitting promo like we'll see throughout the show. I wasn't going to do like a whole bunch of mid-carders and stuff. That just seems like a waste of time and airtime, really. So we're going to keep it to maybe more believable wrestlers that could win the world title. Then we're going to go with the Intercontinental Championship. Bret Hart will retain over Rick the Model Martel with a submission victory, the sharpshooter. I thought about switching it to a victory roll because of plans that I maybe have. And the great thing about this series is that anything that I maybe want to change after initially booking, like I'm going to put it on here. So I don't have anybody to bounce off of. Obviously, you guys are watching this after the fact, but in the booking, in my brain here, I'm looking to extend the model and Hitman through the Saturday night's main event, which is in February. and I was thinking of doing a submissions match, which obviously that doesn't happen in WWF until WrestleMania 13, which is 5 years. Now, it could have happened on a regional TV show or something, or house show, whatever the case is. I don't know off the top of my head. And certainly it wouldn't be like a hardcore street fight that Hart and Austin did. So if I do the reasoning here that I'm kind of conflicting on is if I do a victory roll, right? So mentally I'm thinking like Martel's going for the Boston Crab, the Quebec Crab, and Hart is able to just counter that with a quick pin, 1, 2, 3, and then Martel kind of wanting to get a rematch can taunt at Brett that hey, you always are saying the sharpshooter was a dominant submission. Well, I never submitted to it, and I almost got you in the Quebec Crab. So how about at Saturday Night's Main Event, a submissions match? Give me another shot. And Brett being the champion that he is would obviously accept that. Then there's another way of going about this is that if we do the submission, Martel could do kind of like the denial heel gimmick here where he didn't submit. He was planting his hand down, and the referee took that as submission, but he's blatantly submitting. I mean, it would be comical to even suggest that he didn't submit. And I guess I would, as I'm talking it out, I would ideally avoid Martel being like a comedy guy. So I'm actually kind of leaning towards changing this to a victory roll or like inside cradle, whatever the case is, and allowing a submissions match to take place later on. So if we do, yeah, so we can do a flash pinfall victory roll. Um, Although a victory roll, I mean, technically is on the shoulders, so I guess visually we'll just say any. Um, I might be too specific on that. So we'll just say Hart counters Quebec Crab with inside cradle. And I do this stuff just so I can remember what I'm doing. Because if I were not to have changed that, maybe I wouldn't know what I'm even talking about. So we're gonna go. I think we'll do that. That way it gives Martel some more of a chance at Saturday Night's Main Event. It doesn't completely kill him off, and maybe some fans would still believe like, oh well, Martel could make Hart submit. He almost got the move on him to begin with. So, if I'm wrong, if you hate that, let me know. I'm not the type of person that would be offended if you don't like something. I would be stunned if everybody liked everything I was doing. It almost feels like as if I'm not doing it the right way. Ideally, I would want people to be upset that I didn't have somebody win or the storyline is going in a different direction, whatever the case. That just seems more like reality to me. So we'll go with Brett winning with a flash inside cradle, countering the Quebec Crab. Let's go to a quick promo with the $1 Million Man and IRS. They're ready for the Rumble. DiBiase starts a promo saying that if himself and IRS get in the ring at the same time, then there's no way that neither of them would walk out as the champion. A man with all the money and the man who knows how to work the system. They are an unbeatable combination. And tonight, the WWF World Championship will be in the hands of Money Incorporated. And of course, he would do his little evil laugh. IRS, I guess, could just stand there and just kind of get the rub off from DiBiase. IRS really doesn't need to say anything. That's in itself is probably annoying. The WWF World Tag Team Championship match, no disqualification. Legion of Doom are going to successfully retain against the Nasty Boys, similar to their 91 match. Sags takes the Doomsday device onto a trash can, knocking himself out and allowing LOD to retain the titles. I mean, so again, visually, this is brawling. There's going to be really no wrestling. There'll be some slams, clotheslines, stuff like that, but we're not doing hammerlocks. I would insist these guys do not do hammerlocks. It's a fight. use some trash cans, chair shots to the back, get the crowd just kind of riled up, um, and just let loose for a quick match. And then we'll go to a quick Sid promo. He's thanking Jack Tunney for having his hero, Andre the Giant, at the arena to hand over the WWF World Championship when he wins tonight, and he looks forward to Hogan shaking his hand like the man he says he is. Sid is going to prove that he's better than his old pal Hogan, and they will run wild on the WWF together, but with Sid as the champion. So here we are. We're saying, hey, Sid and Hogan are going to be pals. And they can be pals with Sid as the champion and not Hogan. Kind of just adding a little jab there. Like he's going to be the top guy. Hogan can be in his shadow, but they can still be pals as long as Hogan is behind him. Jake the Snake Roberts and the Macho Man Randy Savage. Jake the Snake is going to win this one. He's going to low blow Savage with a chair as Liz got startled by Roberts on the floor, and Savage checked on her. Roberts will hit the DDT and then pin Savage. I think this is important for Roberts to get a pay-per-view victory over Savage. The feud kind of justifies it. We're utilizing Liz. Sure, there's a distraction, but the victory will allow Roberts to kind of hold on to that. And we can continue on. I mean, if in real life, obviously, Savage won every encounter, and Roberts kept the heat with his promos and the angle advancement. But I think it means more for Roberts to actually pick up a win, get some momentum in a singles match against Macho Man. It's not going to hurt Macho Man at all. He's protecting Liz. We can grab at those emotional strings that had been there prior to us even starting this series. Then we're going to do 3 straight quick promos by some of the favorites to win. The Nature Boy Ric Flair, he cuts a quick one about becoming the world champion and knows that it will eat at Hot Rod to have to admit that Flair is in fact the man. And of course, speaking of Piper, we go into Piper promo, and he's ready for the Rumble, ready to fight all the superstars, and especially Ric Flair, the big phony that he is. Piper is going to march into the ring with his kilt and wrap it around Flair's neck before wrapping the WWF World Championship around his waist. And of course, we finish off with Hulk Hogan, how tonight he will regain the title by defeating a friend of his while having a friend turned foe turned friend, Andre, celebrate the moment with all the Hulksters. And of course, he's going to ask, what you going to do when Hulkamania runs wild on you? I feel like addressing the fact that Andre was a friend, a foe, and now is his best friend again. Kind of like, oh, that's a great moment. What a great visual. Until the Rumble match itself. So here we are. 30-man. The final 2 men are going to be Sid and Hogan after Hogan eliminated Piper and Flair from the match. I'm pretty sure that's how I have it written down. No, I lied. So it's really going to be Savage and Taker, because when I wrote it out on my sheet, it was different. Not that that really matters here, but we'll change that. So it'll be Savage and Taker. Of course, Hogan's not happy, but we knew that already. So Hogan eliminates Savage and Taker. Sid offers a handshake after Sid had eliminated Hogan from behind. After the match, Sid offers a handshake, acting as if the best man shall win. I am reading this wrong. So Hogan eliminates Savage and Taker. Turns around, Sid offers a handshake, acting as if the best man shall win, but instead, Sid kicks Hogan in the midsection, delivers a powerbomb. He then throws out the Hulkster to win the World Championship. Clearly, obviously a heel turn, but we can still tease it as like just the best man shall win, right? Well, to cement it, after winning the match, Andre presents the World Championship to Sid in what is supposed to be a special moment. However, upon receiving the title, Sid nails Andre with the World Championship. Hogan quickly enters the ring, and Sid bails before leaving Hogan to check on Andre to end the show. So that is where our heel turn right here is going to officially transpire. So Sid is our WWF World Champion, and he's going to be a heel. Obviously, the direction here is going to be Sid and Hogan for WrestleMania, with Hogan chasing after Sid. I love Sid as a heel, and I think Hogan chasing after Sid, sure, it's like same old thing, I guess. It had happened for, I guess, in some capacity, 7 years in a row. But there's always a plan. I mean, this is not going to be, hey, it very well could not be Hogan going to WrestleMania 8 and winning the title. If something comes along where Sid needs to retain, I have no objection of of Sid pinning Hogan at WrestleMania 8. As it stands right now, and for the plans that I would have further on in the year, tentatively, the idea would be Hogan would win the title at WrestleMania 8. Tentatively. And then when we go to Wembley, I think everybody would kind of maybe get the idea that it would be Hogan and Flair, because that's a big time match, right? And there's not really a lot of places that you could utilize such a big stadium and fill it if you don't do Hogan and Flair. But there's a million directions you can go. You could go. I won't even name them all, but I mean, Hogan and Savage, Hogan Savage, and Mega Powers Explode in London. I mean, so many different things that we could do. Now I'm going to read through the orders, the entrance and eliminations, even though we already know who won, but just to give the context of it all. So here are the orders. So we got Tito Santana kicking off, then DiBiase and IRS. We're playing into that whole, if Money Incorporated are in there together, they cannot lose. So they're right at the jump. They're right there to kind of tease into that. Then we have the Mountie, Boss Man, Repo at 6, Slaughter. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6 is Repo. Slaughter, Valentine, Haku, Warlord is the 10th entrant. Flair at 11. Virgil, Snuka, Typhoon, Duggan, Quake. Skinner is at 17. Roberts and Savage. Shango at 20. Martel at 21. Hogan's 22. Tornado's 23. Bulldog, Shawn Michaels, Sid is at 26. Tatanka's 27. Piper's 28. Hart is 29. And then Taker is 30. Now, the order of elimination and then the cause of the elimination. So Repo Man would be the first man eliminated by Boss Man. Haku by Boss Man. Slaughter by Flair. Snuka by Warlord. Valentine by Flair. Boss Man by DiBiase and IRS. Skinner by Duggan. IRS by Virgil. Virgil would be eliminated by Warlord. However, IRS would then help from the floor. Mountie by Santana. Typhoon by Duggan. Warlord by Hogan. DiBiase by Tornado, which I think we could then kind of tie into the house show feuds. Same thing with Virgil and IRS. Boss Man and DiBiase and IRS, that's kind of the idea that we're going with. Okay, so DiBiase, Tornado. Shango would be eliminated by Duggan because Coco would attack Shango. I'm sorry, Shango would be eliminated by Duggan, and then Coco comes out and attacks Shango, causing a pull apart. So Coco kind of getting some level of revenge there. Duggan by Quake. Roberts by Savage and Hogan. Martel by Santana. Quake by Bulldog. For some reason, I just like the visual of Bulldog using his power to eliminate a monster like Quake. And again, Quake and Bulldog on the house shows, to me, is something that I would maybe want to see. So I'm going to add that to my potential house show matchups, which at the end of this pay-per-view, or end of this video recording, we're going to kind of go through our feuds that we're going to be hyping up heading towards Saturday night's main event, but also matches that would be seen on the house shows. Santana by Flair. So Santana lasts pretty long. He was the first one in. He's eliminated at 19. Tornado eliminated by Shawn Michaels at 20. Bulldog by Flair. Flair by Piper at 22. Tatanka by Taker. Hart by Shawn Michaels. And that right there is another house show match leading to Mania, Saturday night's main event. If I just need to have a good match, it just adds fuel to the fire there. Piper by Shawn, and that's going to be because of Flair distraction. Flair's not going to let Piper win, so we can kind of continue that. Shawn by Savage. Savage by Hogan. Taker by Hogan. Hogan by Sid, and Sid's your winner. Now you might be wondering, well, why would Hogan eliminate Taker? Or Hogan would eliminate Savage. That's because Taker and Savage are, going for positions, and then kind of similar to how it was. Hogan's is going to kind of flip him over, how like Flair did to Hogan and Sid. Hogan would toss them over. Then you think it's Sid Hogan until Sid's like, no, man, I'm taking this. Kick, powerbomb, throws him over pretty decisively to win the world title. And now, of course, that allows Hogan to express, frustration, like, hey, I thought we were friends. Can't believe you do that. But technically, Sid did it right to his face, and that's what Sid could rebut with. Obviously, we've stayed at the same arena, all in Albany, New York. Capacity. I mean, I don't want to spend a crap ton of money for the Rumble, quite frankly. And I want to kind of, ideally, I would keep them where they were. I understand that it's a game and we can switch things up, and I'm sure I will throughout. I've been kind of going back and forth. Like, I'm not going to do DQ finishes. I'm not going to do countouts, and then I do. So we'll just see how it goes. But all right, let's start the show and see how this translates for the 1992 Royal Rumble. All right, so High Energy and the Beverly Brothers start off with 2.5 stars. Crowd had 61%. And Blake got a little bit of a bump there. The finish slightly hurt the match quality. That doesn't bother me too much. All right, 61, 63. I feel like that actually exceeded my expectations. Jim Duggan with his promo gets a little bit of a boost. Holy crap. We just got our first, as you can see up here, first 5-star match. Holy smokes. That's awesome. Crowd, 69%. That's our best match that we've ever had. 80%. And maybe I made a good decision on that flash roll-up, because we can definitely revisit that Saturday night's main event. Ooh, great segment here by Money Incorporated. DiBiase getting a little bit of a bump. Legion of Doom, the Nasty Boys, 2.5. Crowd loving it. We couldn't quite get to where we needed them to. That's okay. 87%. That's pretty good. Another strong segment, 97. Now, as you can see, it says handle character changes. That's not where the heel turn is happening. So we cannot forget that the final segment is where technically the heel turns happen. So, Sid doing great there. Let's go to the next segment. 3.5, 99%. Look at that. The finish slightly hurts quality. That's okay. Savage is, even though he's a little bit more effort, we're still crushing it. So I'm concerned about how well he'll be when he finally has his confidence back. 100% by Flair, promoting his feud with Piper, while also acknowledging the Royal Rumble, of course. Hot Rod, 100%, back to back. Hulkamania, 100%. Okay, now we cannot forget this. So next segment. Okay. So 2.5, 100%, guys. Okay. Now we go next segment. And we have to handle this. Turns heel. Okay. Wow, the turn of Sid was a failure. Well, we'll see about that. That's quite interesting. I mean, we're holding to it. I mean, we're not changing it. Okay, that I feel like it was really good. A 95% show. We gained popularity. Wow, I was not expecting that. That was really okay. Now we have a bunch of mail. Oh wow, that's considered a success because he worked the Royal Rumble with Piper. We're still giving you a singles match. Give me a break. Okay, Wrestling Challenge. We're almost at 4 viewers. That seems like an increase to me. Royal Rumble on request got 226,000. That's 2 million in income. Okay, 53,000 there. So what is that? 226 and 53. That is around what, just under 280, around 280. All right, and then we have, so nobody attended the Wrestling Challenge show, as we remember from Rochester. So that was unfortunate. But we got a sellout, and that means we almost got $1 million in ticket sales. Title match request. Are you freaking kidding me, Glenn Ruth? What? Hey boss, I think to take the next step in my career, I should do a title match. I would like to compete for a title before March 20th. Am I reading that right? Glenn Ruth, right? The guy that we just hired as an enhancement talent wants a title match. I'm not doing that. I mean, even if I was to do a squash match against Brett or something, I mean, that would hurt the title credibility, wouldn't it? All right. Here is our promotional war update with WCW, the cool factor. WCW is still cooler. That's great. Production, we got that one. We're a draw with the best wrestling skill. Most entertaining roster, we still have the edge there. Best looking roster, WCW. And then everything else is still us. So that's good. We're Animal failed a drug test, which is both steroids and hard drugs. We're going to talk calmly because that's what we do. Okay, good talk. Thank you, Hawk. Unlike Bulldog, you kind of talk to me respectfully. I can appreciate that. Okay, let's go to event histories and we can look at maybe our stuff directly here. So the Royal Rumble is by far our best show. Wait, now suddenly Wrestling Challenge got 17.5. Oh, maybe it wouldn't tell us until after the show. I don't know. That makes no sense. I know before that was 0. Like, I'm not losing my mind on that. Yeah. Okay. Well, whatever. I'll take it. Uh, that's definitely a sellout, even though it doesn't say sellout. It definitely was. Um, it's finances. Does that tell us anything for that? No. So I guess I wish I knew how to look up our like buy rates, but I don't. That's not going to do anything for us. Okay. Well, I would say Royal Rumble was a success. I think that's pretty fair to say that. So let me just do this real quick, actually, the math, because just for my own sanity. So we had 226, and that's 0.87 plus 53, 108. All right, so 279,195 is the total buy rate for our pay per view for Royal Rumble 1992. And let's look at our storylines and see how that's shaping up. Ooh, see now look at that. Sid and Hogan is at 91. We have 92 there. Roberts and Savage at 89. So our big three feuds are progressing very well. And then our two undercard ones that we have so far are respectable. I would say pretty respectable. All right, Royal Rumble 92. That was, I think, a smashing success for this game. Now let's go to our news over, I guess we can click on this, right? Yeah, okay. I think this is what we want. We have some, Scott Hall was suspended. Doesn't tell us why. We already know about the weekly report for us. Prime Time did 2.2, but that did not air. Right? That wouldn't have aired yet. So this show, or that doesn't make any sense. I mean, we have to book that show, right? I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know. This, we'll see how that plays out. The day's not even over yet. Yeah, viewership 279. Wrestling Challenge got almost 4. That's got to be an increase. Yeah, it's an increase of almost 300,000. So our feuds are building up pretty well. Our popularity, as you can see, is on the upswing, which is good as well. After we kind of took a nosedive there, but now we finally have a world champion. I'm really excited about that. Okay, so coming out of the Royal Rumble, as I take out my booking sheet here, we have several things lined up potentially for the house shows, for what we can book throughout the next couple of months. So the idea of like IRS and Virgil, Bossman, DiBiase, interchangeable really between those 4 tag matches as well. We could utilize that. Mountie and Santana. I'm going to be pushing Mountie. I think that we can play into the pile driver injuring Scott Taylor, being a devastating move. Tito seems like the type of guy that would kind of stand up to that, fight against it, and seems like a pretty good opponent for that. Especially if we want to elevate Santana, elevate Mountie. Not that we wouldn't still want to push Santana, but I think Mountie as an undercard heel could be a lot of fun to write and book that out. The disasters against Duggan and Slaughter in some capacity, of course. Also Quake and Bulldog in a singles match throughout the month, or however long that we maintain these matchups. Bret Hart and HBK could be thrown in there every so often for the IC title, with Hart having eliminated Shawn in the Rumble. It kind of gives Shawn some extra motivation in his promos and whatnot. Especially if we don't want to do Hart and Martel on every single show. We can insert Shawn Michaels in there. I feel like the main event for the house shows would be Sid and Jake Roberts against the Mega Powers of Savage and Hogan. Ideally, I would do clean finishes on that, but I mean, I'm not going to want to have Sid take a pin and Roberts like losing every time. May not be ideal. I could maybe see instances where Savage takes a pin, but I'm protecting Sid and Hogan for the main event at WrestleMania 8. That is the goal there. So we'll have to probably figure out some creative ways to finish those main events. Coco and Shango are likely to be on the house shows at this point as well, coming out of the Rumble. I think we've established that enough. Coco Shango is another match that I would tentatively have lined up for Saturday night's main event. Tornado and Shawn Michaels would probably be lined up on the house shows throughout the next couple of weeks or months. The tag titles, LOD, obviously retaining, they're going to be taking on the Beverly Brothers for the next however long. I think we'll probably still put the Disasters in there a few times just to kind of freshen it up. Maybe even the Nasty Boys as well. But the Beverly Brothers are likely to be challengers for the Saturday night's main event. But we'll work the house shows as well. Of course, Bret and Martel, with the idea being a submissions match right now, it's Saturday night's main event. would also work house shows. I mean, they got our first 5-star match. We're going to continue that. That could be even throughout the whole year or however long. I mean, we'll just constantly revisit that. And then, of course, I mentioned Quake and Bulldog. Now, coming out of the Rumble, we have to start debuting new wrestlers. That's what I said I was going to do, and we are going to start doing that. The first man that we're going to really put a focus on, as I go through my sheets here, is going to be the Patriot. And I have a storyline already lined up for how we're going to kind of bring him in. His first major one. But right now, the main idea, we're going to do like vignettes, starting with Prime Time, which I have not booked, but I will be booking shortly. And he would likely be making his television debut at Saturday night's main event. And then, of course, we have. I think we're going to go as with the Outlaws for like John Bradshaw or John Hawk, whichever name we're going to figure. I'm thinking maybe just John Hawk. John Hawk Bradshaw. Yeah, that might be fine. Or just we could just do Bradshaw. John Bradshaw. John Hawk Bradshaw. It doesn't matter. If you have an idea for a name, just let me know. We can go from there. So that would be Bradshaw, Armstrong, Tracy Smothers, and Bill Irwin. Because we have plenty of heels, as you can see. We have a 46 to 41. So when we bring them into television, they will kind of. Well, actually, that's probably already including them, so it's even more disproportionate, but it's not too big of a deal. We have plenty of releases coming up anyway. But yeah, that's going to be kind of the direction we're going. We're going to bring in some baby faces to lead us into Saturday night's main event. So I think what we'll do is like on Prime Time, that will be the focus on the Patriot. And then on Superstars and Challenge, we can do vignettes and whatnot for the Outlaws. And then really the only other guys that we would have to worry about promoting in that sense, as it stands right now, would be the head shrinkers. Because we're lumping in 4 guys with the Outlaws, so that's actually not too bad. Waltman is not going to get vignettes because he's an enhancement guy, although we have not debuted him yet. We will be doing that soon. Just have to find the right match to do that. And then, of course, we have Stevie Ray and Booker T and Men on a Mission. Can't forget about Mabel and Mo. For some reason, I did not. Yeah, for some reason, I did not write them down. But Mabel and Mo would also be guys that we have to debut. But we're going to focus on the Outlaws and the Patriot. All right. I think that was an incredibly successful pay-per-view. I'm excited now to continue booking these shows as we head towards Saturday night's main event and WrestleMania 8. Did you enjoy the show? Do you like the idea of Sid being a heel champion with Hogan chasing? Our top 3 feuds right now are Hogan and Sid, Roberts and Savage, of course, and then Piper and Flair, with Brett and Martel just continuing to crush it on the undercard for the Intercontinental title. The Legion of Doom finishing their feud with the Nasty Boys and are now going to be shifting to a feud with the Beverly Brothers, which we'll probably introduce either on Primetime or on one of the secondary shows, Superstars and Challenge. Boss Man and Virgil with Money Incorporated, Mountie and Tito, which we'll start incorporating those in the next couple of episodes. So, tell me what you guys thought of the 1992 Royal Rumble, and hopefully you guys will continue to enjoy this series as we head towards Saturday night's main event in WrestleMania 8. What will Hogan have to say about Sid's betrayal? Is Andre okay? What does Jack Tunney have to say? Has Savage lost his mind about losing to Jake Roberts? What happened to Frankie? Is Frankie under the sheet? There's only one way to find out, and that's to join me once again for another episode of Rebooking the WWF in 1992.